In between frequent crashes, Borderlands 4 struggles to hit 40 frames on most PCs. And the only one to blame is you. You thought your $1,500 setup was good enough to run a game that was made on the Unreal 5 engine? Be realistic. And for those who meet the minimum requirements, should have known that that's only for starting the game. It doesn't give you the right to pass the main menu. In the real world, only NASA-level PCs should have a stable AAA experience. Optimization and quality of life are no longer essential when you're making a game. If you have a problem with that, you could try playing in a few months when Pitchford and the Gearbox gang actually acknowledge the backlash. For now, you can use the NVIDIA optimization guide on Steam, because you're too stupid to figure out how to drop every setting to low. Even then, you'll still only get 30 frames in a room void of enemies, you bum. Okay, I'm done channeling my inner Randy Pitchford. You know, the wise philosopher who once said, if you're a real fan, you'll make it happen? In regards to people that only have one full-time job that also wanted to play Borderlands 4. With a girthy price tag, you have to expect excellence. Realistically, anything under minimum specs shouldn't be able to run the game at all. And crashing every 15 minutes is good enough for those with the recommended specs, so says the gamer god, Randy Pitchford. After I finished writing all this out, I realized it was a bit too negative for my liking. Because just like Borderlands 4's Steam reception, my feelings are mixed on this game. So we're gonna get a bit weird with this. Every negative section will be followed by a positive one. Hopefully that'll keep the video a bit more balanced. You can even consider it a form of YouTube optimization. Also, try to remember that even if you've had very few issues with your experience, it's not the same for everyone. Even people who have a better rig than yours might be upset getting half the frames they get in any other new game. Any negative critiques by me or someone else are not a personal assault on your good time. We all just want to have some of that fun that you've been having, bud. A lot can be said about what makes a sequel worth it, especially when it's going to cost you about $80. You've got to keep the vibe similar to the highs of the series while implementing new mechanics and ideas that work well in the established franchise. Borderlands 4 does this perfectly. Seriously, any more additions could have been pushing it, taking the feeling to somewhere foreign. Any less and it could feel like not enough. As a common man that doesn't have 150 hours in Borderlands 4 on launch day, I can't say for certain every single new thing that's been added, but I do want to shine some light on some standouts that really jumped out at me. 10 minutes into the tutorial area, you're greeted with rep kits, a form of insta-heal that doesn't need to be picked up, but is charged over time, ready to use in a clutch moment. They don't just heal you though, you might get one that also increases reload speed, damage, fire rate, possibly even crazier stuff when you get yourself a legendary one. I know we're being chill now during the happier part of the conversation, but I do have what could be considered a hot take, only assumedly. Legendary weapons having lower drop rates make them actually exciting to come across again. In past games, you'd spend time wading through an ocean of legendaries that lost their luster around level 25. As a well-seasoned level 15, I've only come across one legendary, and I loved my little Spud Launcher assault rifle. Even if it was kinda shitty, it did help me harness the awesome power of the potato. You can also stop looking around for rocket ammo, as they've been moved to ordnance, which was at one point your grenade slot. Instead, now grenades, rocket launchers, miniguns, and other miscellaneous heavy weapons are on a cooldown before you could use them. Less ammo problems, more explosions. The majestic gliding system is awesome, the grapple is awesome in and out of combat, new guns with unique firing mechanics because of the new manufacturers, it's all awesome. It truly feels like a proper sequel. Lots of old faithfuls like Vault Hunters and their skill trees, plus a bunch of new stuff that all helps to modernize the granddaddy of looter shooters. It's a little weird that people with specs well above the minimum are still met with crashes galore and horrible frames even if they're playing on PS1 graphics settings. Having been a Borderlands fan for almost 20 years, I expect controversies with every Gearbox game. But I wouldn't even consider this piss-poor performance a controversy because it's just more of the same that we've been getting with AAA gaming. Every big game is early access now, whether it admits it or not, and Gearbox had to have known about the lack lack of optimization. I have 3 years of game testing experience. I worked full-time on games like Crackdown 3, Gears 5, and Halo Infinite. Say what you will about those games, but optimization was always a heavy focus throughout testing. Our teams would utilize computers of varying specifications. Most of them were pretty decent, plus we had some high-end setups, and of course, plenty with only the minimum specs required to run the game. I have never worked for Gearbox, and I have no clue how they run their development, but I have to assume they did some testing on lower-end PCs, which means they knew the game was borderline unplayable when they chose to launch it. Never at any point should you blame the development team when a launch goes awry like this. They knew about the issues, they logged the bugs, they told their bosses it wasn't ready, but the bosses couldn't wait any longer. They had to get Borderlands 4 in the hands of game reviewers and YouTubers immediately. Their NASA-level supercomputers should be good enough to handle the game, and that's enough validation for now. Normal people with modest, likely even higher than the minimum recommended spec PCs were not the target audience, despite being in the majority. But don't worry, if you don't want to put up with the poor performance, you can just watch tier lists from epic gamers that already have 150 hours in the game. That should tide you over until the game is fixed. I've also heard playing local only helps, but it wasn't a huge difference when I tried playing offline. If anything, it just made me notice more audio bugs with my guns. However, there was one thing that did help with my performance, and that was dipping into my wallet and buying an app on Steam called Lossless Scaling. It took a bit of tinkering, but now it's at least stable most of the time. And you can really cop some extra frames if you don't mind playing in a smudgy hellscape. As an optimist, I have to hope some real help is on the way. Not something I have to pay another $10 for, but the first performance update. We actually got a patch a few hours ago, but there was no real information in the patch notes, and whatever was done had to have been minimal. Some people are even saying it did more harm than good for them. Realistically, I know there's a chance they might double down and insist that the game runs perfectly fine, keeping their heads buried in the sand. I can't even scroll through Reddit without seeing Borderlands 4 is hands down the most ambitious Borderlands game to date, which sounds like a quote, but it's not. You also have big YouTubers promoting the game with hilarious results, like Conan's Clueless Gamer, which featured a fucking crash during their session.
Hold LB, which is the top thing there. Yeah, hold that. Wait, what?
We just went to...
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, the game? You crashed the game?
How?
Did they forget to run their specs by Mr. Pitchford before recording this video? That's just being lazy, Mr. O'Brien. Borderlands was born a game that took the best ideas from other games and merged them into one. Like having only marshmallows in your box of Lucky Charms. Enough recycling of the good stuff and you start to develop your own identity. And the Borderlands style is certainly unmistakable. Getting a Tears of the Kingdom-like open world experience blended into the same chaos we've had for nearly 2 decades was possibly the smartest decision Gearbox has made to date. It's even more shocking to see the size of this baby round up to only 70 gigs, which isn't that big for today's standards. There's just so much to do on the map, and once you get some wheels, you're basically good to go do whatever you want. You might even be able to find and beat Ganon somewhere, no one knows yet. Not to mention you could catch a ride and spawn your vehicle pretty much anywhere on the map, making it easy to move around quickly. And you thought they forgot about quality of life? There's hardly any open space with nothing to do. Whether it's a little gas station filled with psychos or a pack of oblivious wildhorns grazing in a field, you can always jump off the trail and find something fun and interesting to partake in. You might feel inclined to shut down some propaganda flooding the airwaves or even help a suspect man follow his dreams of thresher breeding. Some of these activities are quick and simple, like fighting a world boss in a hollow dome. But even a thresher fuckfest side quest can take up to 30 minutes to complete, with extra steps that are unique to that quest alone. And the climax, oh, is it worth it? Even outside of the dirt tier performance, the game still has issues that had to have been brought to light during its development. But no game is free from bugs. That doesn't exist in nature. While performance issues can lead to bugs, there were some little stinkers that likely weren't tied to all that nonsense. Oh no! Why is my gun shooting on its own? That guy's breakdancing. There were times where the compass atop the HUD wasn't accurate at all, giving me a random mission waypoint in the opposite direction of where I'm actually supposed to go. If you're a fan of audio bugs, especially the ones that will halt your quests, they've got you covered there too. Occasionally some jabroni would pop up with an audio wavelength underneath them, but for some reason it would be all visual. There would be no dialogue present. At one point I was so stuck from this bug that I was unable to progress through a mission for over 5 minutes. I paused the game to quit and reload, but then the audio finally started. If the same thing happens to you, just pause the game or open your inventory and hopefully it should correct itself. There's many other bugs here and there, like vending machines not loading in, which is always great when you have a full backpack. As far as intended gameplay goes, I only have one real nitpick, and that's that weapon slot unlocks are so unceremonious and unnecessary now. I didn't even realize at level 8 that I had unlocked all of them. It feels like it's only there because past games had it, and it's kinda silly that it takes such minimal effort to achieve those additional slots. It would have been perfectly fine just starting with all 4 of them available. That being my only nitpick should tell you I really enjoy the game's design in general. A lot of action-packed games can feel like story gets sacrificed in service to a better gameplay, and that's fine, it can work really well. But you know what works best? Borderlands 2. And that's okay. You can only have one magnum opus, you know, lightning in a bottle. We hit that peak in 2012, and the best we can ask for is something that comes close. I would argue one thing that's never missed in a Borderlands game, and yes, even the pre-sequel, is the voice acting. Whether or not they have a good script in front of them, that's totally subjective anyways. We've always eaten good with talented actors like Will Arnett, Ashley Birch, and of course the real voice of Claptrap, Jack Black. I'm just kidding, alright? Calm down. The Borderlands movie will probably forever be the biggest, ugliest, bloodiest skid mark on all of Gearbox's sketchy track record. Ugh. Borderlands 4 hits the same vocal talent we're so accustomed to, but once again, that script gotta be tight. The best Borderlands stories need to balance wackiness with seriousness, separating the darker moments from the dick and butt jokes. It's what made Handsome Jack one of gaming's most iconic foils. The story sets your expectations right away, just after your first boss battle. It lets you know that it will take important moments seriously. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but I will say early on I was shocked by some of the actions the main antagonist had been taking, and I hope the main story can stay compelling throughout. The humor might not be everyone's cup of tea, it's still very stupid, which is my favorite flavor, so there was no complaints from me when Claptrap offered up hot dogs with batteries wedged where a big pink wiener should be. Gearbox has proven that they're unable to make a game without totally avoidable blunders. Battleborn's terrible marketing and confusing Twitter beefs, Tiny Tina's Wonderland's dog shit DLC, Aliens, Colonial Marines, and Borderlands 4 being a fantastic game blemished by an awful experience on PC and some PS5 models apparently. I've also seen that they're missing pretty standard quality of life feature settings like FOV and stuff like that on consoles too. Maybe even a memory leak that's making console players restart their game every hour or so to fix their performance? Fuck-ups are just a part of the package with them. There's so many different issues we could point the blame at for having a game with this simplistic yet sleek, don't get me wrong, art style, having so many egregious issues, whether it's Gearbox having a buffoon that no one likes as CEO, Denuvo inherently dragging down the game's performance, Unreal Engine 5 being overly complicated to develop with. Take your pick. There's no wrong answer. We can only hope they'll give a damn eventually. Sadly, there's still a chance they might not, because even though the positive reviewers on Steam can't help but mention the abysmal performance, it's still #1 on the top selling games list, and we all know AAA studios only care about one thing: money, obviously. So even though a lot of us agree that the game is great at its core, we can't be afraid to admit when something is unacceptable, even if saying it means we're going against our masters. If we continue to accept the good with the bad, the AAA bigwigs will never learn that what we truly want is something great, even if it takes longer to get it. Oh yeah, that's right, we need one more positive section. Well, this game does have fishing. Every good game should have fishing. I almost forgot to be positive for a second there. That would have been crazy. That would have been crazy like me forgetting to thank the members of this channel. They go out of their way every month to throw some extra support to my family and I, and they don't have to do that, but they do it anyways. They're amazing, beautiful people, and I thank you guys so much for doing what you do. Maybe I should mention whether or not I recommend this game. The answer is no. I would wait for some patches or something. I've made the mistake of enjoying a game in a terrible position like this, most recently being Monster Hunter Wilds. With that game, I desperately wanted better performance, updated my graphics card, and then the game won't start anymore. I don't know. You're just gonna have to wait. I think it's smart to wait right now. It is a good game unless you've got Mr. Beast levels of technology inside of your room. It's just not the right play. Wait until you see some updates coming through with a positive reception towards performance. Then you know to jump on it. Or if you see a sale or something. I mean, we got holidays coming up. You might be able to find it for a steal. That'll show them.